I'm Ryan. It's a pleasure. No. I want that same thing you gave whoever you gave when you first walked in.
That was Catherine.
Yeah, I need that same thing. How you doing? It's a pleasure to meet you. Yes, ma'am. Good to see you as well.
We'll hug it out too. There we go.
Oh,
good to see you. This is Catherine.
How you doing? I'm Chandler. Nice to meet you. Yes, ma'am. Honor to meet you.
Hey, it's great.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I did it up first.
Fred.
I can't take the whole top off.
That's great, yeah.
Hold up, limitless. Take a stomach, got pinning it. I fought to hear to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling got me up. On the mission got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. On this vision I can trust. Limitless. Take a stomach, got pinning it. I fought to hear to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling got me up. On the mission got me up.
We're back on the pivot. You know how it goes, man. Where you start ain't always where you finish. And sometimes where you finish is not the end. But today we got a special guest. This is Jana Kramer. She was on Dancing with the Stars, One Tree Hill. She's also a singer. Obviously, her most important job is being a mom. And she'll tell us a little bit about that and the reason she made some certain decisions because of her babies. This is Freaky Freddy, right?
I just like to say time out.
Why freaky?
It's been following me for a while now, maybe a little
What's
bit
a while,
over
Coach?
a year. Just over a year.
Oh, just over a
We can
year?
get into it later, but
Right.
he brought out Super Bowl Ryan. He's never introduced anyone like that. So what is it about you that brought the best out of him this morning?
It was the hug. But
That's
thank
what
you.
it was. It was the fact that when we met, you embraced us and you were like, you know what? The woman that we were being prepared to meet, you weren't that woman at all. And so Freaky Freddy, right? Yeah. He's gonna
I just told him to retire that name a few shows ago.
Fred Taylor should be a Hall of Fame running back. We're gonna keep pushing for that on this show.
That's right.
One of the best that's ever done it. But he doesn't give us a lot on the show, right? But when he does, everybody's hitting us up on Twitter and Instagram. Oh, he's so articulate. He's so smart. What a deep thinker. And I'm like, nah, y'all, he just quiet. Like, that don't mean that. And then we got Channing. Channing's job is not even comic relief. Because like most comic relief, you find funny. Channing's job is basically making the show go off the rails and then making me and Fred and the guests pick it up and get it back going the right way.
Pivot.
Also, for our show, he's the small penis expert of the show.
Micro penis is what I like to call it.
Micro penis.
Micro penis.
Micro
Because
penis.
like I don't want to like, as long as you know how to use it, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
You know what? It's not the size of the boat. It's the motion
It is not.
in the ocean.
It is. It's a little scary at first when you see a micro penis, but then you're like, I'll give you a shot.
Doesn't small sound better than micro?
No, micro's bad. Yeah.
But micro is like organisms, little bitty.
I know, but you never
But dude,
know.
there was a movie where a guy had a micro though, and it was basically like an ant on an ant mound, and they showed it, and it was just like that, and it's just like a bush around it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's we should call them peekaboos because there's not enough weight to fall down, so they just poke straight out off the body.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
Away from that.
Pivot.
And we will pivot from that.
Always.
Tell us a little bit about being an actor at such a young age.
I knew what I wanted to do. So I was living in Michigan and all my friends were taking their SATs and, applying for colleges. And I was like, I'm moving to LA. Like, I want to be an actress. This is what I want to do. I don't want to fallback plan because I don't want to fall back on anything. I want to focus on my goal and my dream, and then I want to do it. And a lot of people, one being my dad, was like, you have to go to college. You have to. And I'm not saying like don't go to college. But I just knew for me, like I won't push as hard maybe if I knew that I had something to like fall back on. So I moved to New York and then I moved to LA, and it was great because it's something, again, like I knew I had to succeed and I had to push.
How long did it take you to really get a breakthrough though? Because moving and packing up and saying, you know what, the traditional life isn't for me, puts a lot of pressure on the passion or the thing you want to do.
For sure. I mean, I got lucky in a lot of areas where one of the casting directors was like, all right, well, you have to live in New York. And I go, great, I live in New York. And they're like, what? You said you just lived in Michigan. I was like, well, but you said if I want to be on the show, then I have to live in New York. Right. So I live in New York. Is that the answer you want? Yeah. No, so I was like, I'm here. Like and he was like, okay. And then I got the job and.
Wow, so whatever it took.
Yeah, it had to,
As athletes, we get money young.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about 21 young.
Right.
How young were you like when you had bread?
I had done a few things, like I did an Adam Sandler movie, just kind of roles here and there. I was working on a soap opera, but again, like not a lot of money. So we would We had our electricity turned off a lot, and then we lived off of frozen taquitos. I would steal toilet paper from the job I was waitressing at. And it wasn't until I booked Friday Night Lights that I started to have money, and I wasn't always in the red, because every time I'd get in the red, I would book like Grey's Anatomy, or I'd book Private Practice, or I'm like, okay, like I got
love those
it.
shows, by the way.
Thank
Those
you.
are excellent
They're fun.
shows.
I loved them. But it wasn't until I booked One Tree Hill where I was like, oh my gosh, I've got $30,000 in my bank account. Like, I've never seen
I know you
that
felt so
before.
rich though, because when I had 30,000, I felt super rich and poor at the same time because I was scared of losing it.
Oh.
So I just wanted to stick it under my mattress.
Yeah.
30 grand now. You can't even buy you a new car. That's a used
It was
car.
30 grand more than I ever had though.
Yeah, for sure.
And now you chilling with like Chad Michael Murray and
Yeah.
all those people, and you're famous now,
Well,
right?
I mean, I was on the show for about 3.5 years, and so it was incredible. And to your point, though, I never had the money. So, my mom worked 3 jobs, divorced family, and so anything I ever wanted, I had to work for it and get
Right.
it. So I bought my own car, I did this, and so I bought my own place. And so now it's like I almost have PTSD with money. So when I see it in my bank account, like I don't buy myself anything because I'm about my kids, whatever, what they
We all
want.
dumb for our children.
Yeah, but it's like for me, I'm like I get so scared that I'm afraid to not see that number anymore, and I don't want to have to see the red again.
Isn't it crazy in today's society when you look at Instagram and social media, the influence and the perception of that is a lot bigger than what's in a lot of these people's bank accounts.
When I was touring with Blake Shelton and Brad Paisley, I was on the tour bill. I was, the opening act. I lost about $100,000 on that.
Really?
So you
Just
don't
traveling?
make money. Yeah, because it's so expensive to tour. It's like I didn't make any money in music.
Also, I have
And
a
people
question.
think they're like, well, you're touring with the biggest acts. I'm like, yeah, but I'm also taking tour support for my label because it's so expensive. Like I'm only getting paid $3,000 a show. Well, my bus costs this much, and this
Right.
is the bus. And I was like, so I get nothing.
How does a girl from Michigan get into country music? Now,
I love it.
so I never understood that, right? Because I always felt like it was super regional. Because I felt like you had to have an accent from the jump.
Sure.
Like, how are you gonna sing country music if you didn't grow up with an accent?
I grew up listening to country music.
Okay.
And then I always say this too. Keith Urban's from Australia. Shania Twain's from Canada. Like,
Good
they're
point.
country.
Now you make a good point.
Yeah, I have a little twang when I sing, but at the same time, that was my influence. That's what I listened to.
Right.
But then at the same time, I'm listening to Salt and Pepper and Eminem on the next channel. So I go
Yeah.
back and forth a lot.
I mean, versatility is key. And so, for our show, our show is called The Pivot. And as 3 black men that are married to black women who have gone through some of the things that you've gone through, being married to an NFL player who didn't treat them correctly. There's always been this thing in our culture that you don't hear these stories because black women feel like they have to protect black men. Black women feel like because of all the negativity that goes on, whether it's, deadbeat fathers or broken homes and broken families, they always felt like they had to keep that close to the vest. And so generational. And so some of the things that you have shared is the true reason that we're here. So we talked about some of the good in your life, some of the accomplishments, but the things that brought us here were things that you've shared that weren't that way, that you had to rebuild from, that you had to start over. And when you come from success, right? People look at it like she's smart, she's talented, she can act, she can sing. That's the perfect life. And then you've shared that not everything from the outside perception is what it is in our home. That's different for us. Me and my wife were laughing about it the other day. Like, we could be beefing, but when we get out the car, nobody's gonna know. And then we hop back in the car and it's there. What has made you so open and so willing to share what you've gone through?
When you Google me, you'll see not just one marriage, but so when I was 19, I married a guy who was about 20 years older than me. Knew him for 2 weeks. We went to Vegas. Real stupid decision. But at that time, I had massive daddy issues.
And your parents are divorced.
They're divorced, yeah. My parents got divorced. My dad cheated on my mom, got divorced when I was 14. So I kind of witnessed everything, saw everything. First time I saw my dad come back, as first man that lied to me. And so it's just that all correlated into, that's my childhood trauma. And
Yeah.
I didn't realize that until later in life. But so I made some poor decisions when I was younger. And when I was 19, I met this older man. I married him. Again, knew him for 2 weeks. Went through a drive-through in Vegas. Elvis married us. And
I actually met somebody that was talking about an Elvis wedding. We all just love Vegas working, and I met somebody that got married at an Elvis wedding.
yeah, it was not my proudest moment in my life. But we went back to LA, and I was like, obviously that was a joke. Let's annul it. Well, long story short, I got trapped in a very abusive relationship, and he ended up going to jail for attempted murder on me. So I always wanted to share that story because I feel like I could have taken two roads. And I've always wanted to have the platform to be able to share and help other people. And so when I did Dancing with the Stars, I was like, hey, I'd love to share this experience. And nobody knew. So like my mom found out that I married him when we went to court for the attempted murder trial.
And how long did that last?
A year and a half.
Relationship?
And you wanted to get it annulled immediately.
I did, because I thought it was we were joking around, but he was not joking around. So
How does somebody keep you in that marriage that long? And how hard is it to get through that trauma?
it was hard because it was like I couldn't really tell anybody, and then I had to stop. My agent dropped me, my manager dropped me because I'd be bruised and I couldn't show up for auditions, and so I had lost all my friends. So they alienate you, and then they also make you feel like you're the crazy one. So that's just like the cycle of abuse. And you know, I wanted to share that to help other people.
Right.
And then when I met my then ex-husband, you know, I shared my past with him, and I shared, you know, my traumas, childhood wounds, all of that. And he had just gotten to another team at the time.
And what's his name?
Mike Caussin.
We played when he played.
We played when he played.
But we had to look it up.
Well, he didn't actually like play.
We know.
It was kind of play.
But trust me, our house looked like he played.
Right. That perception
You
again.
said that, though.
And I'm like, my little platinum albums are in a corner, but like all your jerseys. Sorry, this is so probably really mean of me to
Like he
say.
had Heisman's, didn't he?
What did he have up? His high school jersey?
We was on the team. I was in Washington when he was in Washington my last year, and I still don't know him. He was there, and it may be because he was only there for a month, and I was paying attention to football and not fourth string tight ends. Maybe that was why I didn't see him or know him, because like when the starters go, they go against the ones, right? The people that's gonna actually play. And so maybe he wasn't a part of that group.
Yeah.
I played for Jacksonville, the
Oh,
Jaguars.
that was where his rookie year was.
Right, and
yeah.
I do a lot of work for the Jaguars. I
Okay.
cover the team.
Okay.
Right, I'm always there.
Okay.
I never heard of him. I'm not bashing him. I'm just saying.
No, this is.
I googled him.
I will say the
validated it.
one mean thing when we got divorced. Not the one mean thing. I said some words, but like, again, we had all his jerseys hung up, his house, and it's like, again, my 2 platinum records were just like in the corner upstairs in like a closet. And there was this picture of him playing, I guess maybe the one game he played, and I drew a little bubble, and I was like, oh yeah, this is the one game that I played. Like, you suck. And then
And you drew it on the picture?
I did.
Sharpie?
It was a really low moment, and I put it in
That's
his
a really
desk, and I was like,
high moment.
here's your stuff.
That's a great moment.
Was it actually on the photo, or was it a framed?
No, I put it on, like I broke the frame, and I put it on, I did.
I would say you're evil, but
Look, I didn't touch the jerseys, okay? I didn't touch, even though I shadow framed boxed them all, I did not touch his jerseys. But
no, I would never say that, really. I mean, I think you being as open and as vulnerable as you have been, that you're helping women around the world who pretty much just tuck themselves in a corner. So I would never say you're evil. I appreciate and applaud you for being brave. You know,
Thanks.
that's what it's all about.
That's the Freddie stuff right there, though. Right? So there.
Right? It was like I really felt seen.
It's the truth.
Well, I know, Freddie. What was Jana supposed to say? What she said? Thank you.
Mind your business, first and foremost. Mind
It's
your,
our show, bro.
I
It's the
felt that, and I
truth.
appreciate that. So
It's
thank
the
you.
truth.
Thank you.
I know. We messing with you, Freddie. We messing with you.
Come on, bro.
No, I appreciate it. I do.
As long as you've been successful, all you've done, the acting, the singing, just everything that people know you for, do you think in your relationships men are jealous of your success? I know old boy is jealous of your success because he
That's
played
why her
in one
platinum
game.
album was upstairs.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I heard, when you told that whole story, I was like, so she has platinum and you're on the practice squad. Like, why isn't this different?
You know,
That's crazy.
it was very hard for him because when I met him, he was playing for Buffalo, and then he got dropped right away and then went to Washington, and then he injured his knee again. He was always injured. But it was one of those things where once he finished football, I was at the height of my career. So Got the Boy was at the top of the charts, and I was touring with the best people, and he made me feel bad about that.
Right.
Like it's all about you and your schedule, and I'm like, well, I have to do what I have to do as well. And I was filming movies, and so it was very hard for him. But he used that as a reason for why he cheated, like in the beginning of our marriage and during that time, and which is why I then took him back, because I'm like, okay, I can see how that was like hard on him, that I was rising and he was couldn't, because I can imagine that's really tough. Like all you know is football, and then they take it away from you.
Was it truly about him? Did you just want to make the marriage work? You wanted to be there? Because it has to be hard that you feel like you're doing nothing wrong, and you almost have to reconcile it to yourself or give yourself some acceptance of his position in order for you to say, okay, I can take you back for the wrongdoing because I know that I've affected it in some way.
I mean, I definitely acknowledge that, like, I was the one that was, had the schedule. Like, that was because I was working and we had a baby. But the reason that I stayed in the beginning was because our daughter was 4 months old when I found out about the string of affairs.
String of affairs, what do you mean?
I had a feeling he was cheating on me. He was being, manipulating, gaslighting, verbally, like just very like abusive. And so I was just like, this doesn't feel right. And so my girlfriend was like, check the phone bill, go through it. And just a lot of numbers weren't adding up. And I started Googling some of them and they were not appropriate at all. And so then I was about to play a show. My best friend, Catherine, was with me. And we FaceTimed him and I just pulled the girl trick. I know everything. So why don't you tell me before I,
Normally though, if y'all asking the question, y'all already know the answer
Our
anyway.
gut knows. We don't know the real, but our gut knows. Like, I knew something was off.
Right.
Like, a woman's gut is their best their best quality, their best superpower, I think.
Why do I feel like y'all gut always think it knows something though?
Because it's always there. It's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, it really is, though. Like, I do. Like, it is there.
You know what?
Like, yeah, trust me.
So did y'all run up on him or?
So I FaceTimed him and I was like, you have 5 minutes to come call me back with everything because I know it all. So just, I'd like to know the truth. And then he told me that he met his one affair girl at his bachelor party. And then things started to add up more. And then I connected the dots more. And so, yeah, there was multiple. And for me, it was like, at that point in time, I was like, no woman is going to touch my child. Like, this is my child. This is my daughter.
I understand that.
This is my family.
Right.
And I saw a man that was willing to do the work. Where I faltered in that was for the 5 years after that, and him coming back out of treatment was.
So you say treatment though.
Then he went to sex addiction. He said he was a sex addict.
I'm just gonna be honest. So crackheads.
Sure.
Crackheads are not turning down any level of crack.
Sure.
Like if a crackhead ain't got no money and you give him some crack you didn't stepped on, that crackhead will crunch that crack up and smoke it. So if you got a sex addiction, you supposed to hit anything.
Cause all you want is sex, like a crackhead.
He didn't never slept with me. That was another issue. Like, I'm a very sexual person.
He ain't got no sex addiction then.
What happened?
No, that's called sexual intimacy when you don't want to be intimate with the person that you love. It's called sexual anorexia. I've learned all about this.
Man, this is it.
Is that a little
Isn't this excuses for cheating?
You know, it's like, hey, when the homeboy on drugs and they steal your TV and they sell it, and then his people come over and like, no, he got an addiction. We got to get him help. But then usually you say, you know what? It's cool that he stole my TV because he has an illness, right? Like when we could turn things into an illness, people see it differently than the fact that we have bad impulse control, right? Or the fact that we have bad self-control. Or sometimes the fact that we're just bad humans. And so if we turn it into an illness, now it's a sickness, they want to fix us, right? You want to give us the medicine or the elixir that makes us whole again, but that's a farce.
You know, I struggled with that, wondering what's an addiction, what's someone's personality. I really have. Like, is someone just a sociopath or a cheater or a liar or whatever? Or is it really, for me, like when I get stressed out, what's my ism? Like, what do I run to? Like, what is my thing? And some people they go to alcohol and they drink too much, or they go to, drugs, and that's their way to coping. And some people's it is sex. And I do believe in it, but I also think it's bad when people are like, well, it's my illness and that's just what it is, and not taking any accountability or empathy for it.
No, you're saying it though. Like, it seems like an easy out.
My dog Tiger Woods had to do the same thing.
But no, he's Tiger Woods. He's on top of the world. Everywhere he walks into, somebody's throwing sex at him. So he's catching it. You can block sex.
If you have to pay for it and go to the lengths of that, I think
That's a problem.
That's a problem. And that's where I kind of go, all right, maybe you did. And here's the thing, like, I really could give two about watching porn. You want to watch porn, watch porn. I've watched it before, like, I don't care. But, like, when it's something where, like, hey, when porn wasn't enough, now I want to do an affair. When this isn't enough, so it's like the fix, like the affair of...
They're chasing the high.
Yeah, chasing the high. And it's like, okay, now let's try an escort, and it's an escort or a prostitute. It's like, that continues, and that's where I think there is a piece of some kind of I don't know, illness, disease, or whatever that goes along with it.
And many of us, you know, I could just speak for myself. You know, I grew up with my parents, and I have a great father, and he taught me a lot about life. He never schooled me on relationships. He just never did. He never said, this is the way you're supposed to treat a woman or cherish a woman. And so that is something that I can be honest that I've struggled with, and understanding, like, it's not about how love looks to me, right? It's about how do I love someone in a way where they know I love them, where they feel I love them. And that takes a ton of listening.
We get the birds and the bees conversation.
Yep.
You get how a baby's made conversation.
Right.
But that lasts, for me, not long. I don't know how y'all do. Everybody talks about the birds and the bees. What about making your spouse happy? What about fulfilling their needs?
What's
what
the
about
love languages? And your love language might be different, and I'm sure you guys know that and talk about that, but it's like, you want to know how your wife wants to be loved? Well, you know, what makes her feel loved? Is it you helping out? Or is it your words? Is it your time? Is it your affection?
When you get into relationships, you know, like I've heard this in many conversations, it's like, okay, like first off, you just have to be kind. And because I think the rest of it, you get to learn along the way if you're willing to learn.
Yeah.
There are some relationships you get to a point and everything's so, it's like, you know what? Like today ain't the day. You know, like I'm not necessarily ready to focus on you. And so you go through all these things, and what finally got you to a point, you know, because it sounds like you were just ready to forgive, ready to forgive, ready to forgive.
5 years?
I was married for 6, together for 7, but yeah, I mean.
But after the first time?
Oh, it was every year there was something.
So you did 7 years of this?
And that's where it's like, that's the part where I really beat myself up. I was like, I'm now weak. And I've never been a weak woman, but I thought that something would change. And that's where I was like looking in the mirror, and I was like, you are the weakest person ever. Like, you're the weakest woman for continuing to see that he's showing you who he is. Believe him. He's not changing. It's not going to automatically change now. The 6th time I found out something, it's not going to change. And I think having to wake up and realize that was really hard, and having my friends sit me down.
I know you mentioned earlier, you know, having a 4-month-old at the time, but did your kids also play a part at that point as well?
Well, I mean, the second time I wrote about this in our book, because again, we wrote a book together about fighting the good fight, you know, like
and
we
writing
like
books and doing all this
you know, I
stuff.
was like, look, how am I going to turn into lemonade? I was like, because if we can help people and we can do this, like other couples can do this. But I was just so naive to what was going on behind closed doors.
I don't really curse like that, but I'm not drinking Dookie lemonade. I'm just.
I know. I was trying to make an Arnold Palmer, you know, and it was.
That sounds so much better.
Yeah.
So Jana, so you said, you know, you were talking about, you know, your ex-husband and being a sexual person. Channing has some deficiencies, but he also says that he will jump off the end table.
The what?
And like role play and stuff like.
Listen, you ain't gotta have no big horse laid out on the table. You need a good average size swipe.
Are you saying you have a small penis?
No. See, now you gonna do that?
I didn't say nothing.
She gonna call me micro swipe. I don't have a micro swipe.
I mean, there's a rumor that, you know, once you go, you don't ever go back. You know, for a reason.
My wife's named Asia. We got a swing. We got.
Oh wow, you're kinky.
Freddie gave me a vibrating rose.
Wow.
Gave me a wand.
What you do with the rose?
I put the rose. I put it on the kitchen table because it had a hole in the top, and I put a candle in it. I didn't know what it was. Fred, that's why it's freaky. So earlier about freaky, that's where freaky comes from. Fred is my sex savior. He kept everything together.
Hey, he your Moses. He your sex Moses. Fred is gonna lead you to the promised land. He's gonna part the Red Sea.
Married, my wife's name's Asia. So married for a long time. And then, Fred's parted the sexual sea from me. And I'm like, Fred, where did these toys come from? He might make them at his house. I don't know where these toys come from. I've never seen them before, Jana. It's crazy. Somebody that's honest about themselves.
Yes.
I don't know if I would want my wife to come out and say I have a micro swipe.
You know.
I saw something where your man now.
Oh my God.
I saw that too.
No.
You said the man has a micro swipe.
I did not say.
You did say that.
Listen, this is what I said. Okay. Actually, I didn't even say it. My freaking producer said, there has to be something wrong with him. Does he have a micro penis? And I'm like, funny enough, me and my girlfriends were joking around because I'm like, okay, he's a Navy SEAL. He's got an amazing body. He's hot. Like, there has to be something wrong with him. I'm like, he probably has a small penis. He probably has a small penis. Like, what am I going to do?
But wouldn't all the
let me just
rest of
say,
it help?
he does not. It's great. I love it. Okay?
TMI.
It's nice. Oh, TMI now? Oh, now you want to do TMI? Okay.
We don't do TMI here.
I don't even know.
It is great. So it is not a micro penis. I can't do the small penis
That's what
anymore.
y'all girls talk about? Like, oh, he's awesome. I love him. Oh, my goodness, he's amazing. Yeah, the swipe don't even do nothing. Like, that's what y'all
The
look
swipe
for.
ain't swiping.
The swipe ain't swiping.
Shannon, you can't continue trying to force that problem on that lady
Let
because
me
you got that
just say,
problem.
I have had bad sex for 7 years in my marriage, and I'm now having amazing sex. So it is very
Because
nice.
you did say you can't do small penis anymore. Just,
Yeah, we catch everything.
I'm gonna ask, but when somebody goes anymore, that means that they've dealt with micro penises and probably not just on like the occasional micro penis, is that like I had to keep going back to that micro penis based on my responsibilities.
Everyone likes different things.
Oh, okay. I got
You
you.
know how you know? The color of the condom wrapper. If it's pink or baby blue, it's tiny.
Those are tiny colors though.
I know, if you ever seen
That's
a
a
baby
small-
blue
that's small
yeah,
colors.
Some of my homeboy be like, bro, let me get a rubber.
Is this
back
what you guys talk about?
back in
Like
my
in the
old
locker
days.
room? Is this what you guys like just
So in the locker
it ain't
room, I'll be
swiping?
like, in the locker room back in the single days, you'll be like, hey, bro, you know, I got something lined up, man. You got a rubber I can hold, and they'll pass you,
You
a
can't
baby.
hold the rubber.
A
You
baby.
have to give it. You can't give it back, Shannon.
I will say, here's a question, and I will say this. This is something that my ex used to say, that the locker room breeds athletes to cheat.
He's a cheater. It doesn't breed anything to cheat.
But don't
There
you
are
guys
guys-
like be like, yeah, do you
No,
see that?
there
Fucking
are-
like,
It's kind of like
There are
almost-
great men
In a locker room.
Right.
I really do hate that concept that
great men.
all the guys on the team.
It's kind of like saying weed is a gateway drug. I don't agree with that.
Because you smoke weed don't mean you gotta shoot heroin.
That's true. But I think there are influences in the locker room. You know, some guys come in there, they want to keep up with the Joneses. They come to the stadium the rookie year driving a Nissan. And then as they go, they want something bigger and bigger and bigger. But that doesn't mean they have to do it. I've seen guys drive a Toyota their entire career. T. Bragg had a Camry for 12 years. I was like, what the f is this? He was getting 6-7 million a year. Like, whoa. But I mean, it's on the individual. At the very end of the day, you got to be strong.
so that stigma needs to be squashed then.
Yeah, it's who you want to decide to hang with.
That's true.
Every locker room,
That's true.
there's the old, merry, established guys, second, third contract. They're working, they're grinding, they love ball. And they love their family. They're just normal dudes that have a good job. Then there's a mid-tier guy that's still hanging out, but he ain't knocking down everything he sees. He's, you know, a lame dude from Wyoming with a big fat lineman. They ain't gonna get no sex anyway. And then there's wild ones. So you walk in the locker room, Freddie, you walk in the locker room, I would say your ex decided to walk to the corner of the guys that pull out, you know, a stack of ones on a Tuesday. You're like, why do you have 300 ones? Because I just left the strip club. I'll be honest with you, I was in the bad corner. And I knew the guys that walked in the locker room and came to the bad corner to tell you that it's not everybody. You decide to take that path.
The other thing is this though, when you think about a locker room, it's my job to form some form of chemistry with Channing, even though I was married at 24. Because on Sunday, me and Channing got to go out and ball. And all of us can hang together, but when you hit the parking lot, like the parking lot is where it can end. I don't have to go do what he does. And don't get me wrong, I think a lot of us are the same and in the same when we grow up, but then it becomes decision making. And I think women do this for people that they love. They want to give you an out. They need a reason. Because the reason of, you know what, I just made a bad decision, for some reason that makes women think it must be me. Even if a man is telling you, nah, I'm just a stupid mother effer.
Oh yeah, many times I was like, do I need to have a bigger ass or bigger boobs or like,
Right, see what I'm saying?
do you need me to like? It's like we always think it's our like, yeah.
Right,
what can we do
exactly.
differently to make you guys happier?
Right, you know, and so when we say, nah, like, I just made a stupid decision. Like Channing and Fred can't make me do anything I don't want to do.
Right.
They can't
We all have
influence me
choices in life.
Correct.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
Like I know what I do, and I choose to do X, and you might choose to do nothing. It's like we have choices. That's where I'm like, no, you chose to walk in there.
Right.
You chose. Like, you have a choice, and that's where I battle.
The more stories that I guess we're able to create, it's pretty much like putting gas on the fire. So it fans the flame, and you might just have a problem with lying more so than just having a problem with a sexual addiction.
What did the mother effer do at the end that you was like, you know what? You done did 27 things that I was cool with.
So that's the point I was really trying to get back to that.
Yeah.
Because earlier you say you wrote a book together, you do podcasting together, and then you're a huge influencer. You have fans from all across the world. At some point, there's a perception that's created of you.
Right.
Because you're saying, I gotta be strong, and we're doing these things, and you're showing them what you've gone through, but yet you've forgiven them over a 5 or 6 year period. Was there a point where you thought your fans or your people would have just given up on you?
I mean, I definitely had a lot of people saying like, they didn't understand why I kept staying, but I would look at things like, okay, well, you got better at this, or this was getting better, or so I would start to then make excuses. And even towards the very last straw, I remember Catherine, my best friend, she was like, I was like, I just need the smoking gun. I need the smoking, like he's lied about X, Y, and Z, had secret emails, this, that, and the other, but I need the smoking gun. I need to know that he physically had sex again, because that was like my thing. If you have sex again, like none of it makes sense then.
Can I ask what the smoking gun is? Because like after all you said, the smoking gun has to be so good.
Physically cheating is a smoking gun for
Okay,
me,
gotcha.
you
But
know?
you said evidence. Like,
Yeah, I like to say, like, was it just
you
the
know what I'm
phone?
saying? Like there's a text that say, hey, I'm gonna holler at you here. And then like you're saying, was there a video? Like what was like,
I mean, I've seen videos.
Video?
Anyways.
So now that that's over,
Yes.
what's the story now? Like, how do you rebuild from that? How do you walk in here with a smile, hugging people, excited about life, excited to sit down and have this conversation?
I like that question, but I want to ask it a different way.
Go ahead so you can seem smart again.
I am smart. Don't seem smart. Don't short me, baby. Don't short me. Because I recently seen your baptism, right? And you shared it publicly. Would you say that's your biggest pivot? Like just being free, just letting the world know that, look, I've shared all these things with you over the years, but now here I am. I'm giving my life to God.
I think I always try to control, because obviously I'm a mom and I have so much pressure to provide for them, because I'm the sole provider and I want them to have an amazing life, and I wanted to give them something that I didn't have. And that was what hurt like the most too from that. And I think I've always just tried to control, and it's like realizing when I had to file and follow through with it that I had no control. And then I always too, like being alone and realizing that I actually never was alone. And when more I listened in church and opened my ears and opened my eyes to it, it was just like, I'm alone, but I've never been alone. And he was just waiting for me to, step into the faith and to step in and, know that like, he's got a plan for me, and I just have to keep my head up and keep loving my babies and loving people around me. And, but yeah, that was kind of my moment where even to this day, like I still struggle with co-parenting, but at the same time, it's like, you have a different reality than I have. And you're never going to understand my reality, nor are you ever going to give me empathy that I've prayed for years in our marriage. So why am I still trying to control this person that will never give me those things that I ask for or would love?
And when
as
you
closure.
get to experience that moment as someone that's been baptized twice, when you get to experience that moment, it's a moment where you understand you're not in control anyway.
Yeah, but it felt so nice. It was so,
It's such a
I was just like
freedom.
such a freeing moment. It's like, I still want to work really freaking hard, and I'm going to pray, and I'm going to work, and I'm going to grind, and I'm going to do everything I can. But knowing that I've got someone championing me right next to me feels really good.
Did your first baptism not work? It was dirty water.
I got baptized when I was a baby, so that was this is technically my second too.
So I got baptized when I was 8.
Okay.
I tell y'all all the time, my mama was in church 365 days a year, 25/8. And she just prayed and prayed and prayed. I was always at the Bible study. Well, when I was 8, like all my homeboys were getting baptized. And the questions that they asked, I understood. Do you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? Well, I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like all of those things made sense to me then. And then you grow up and you go to college and you do these certain things. And I was always, fellowship, FCA. I'm always at Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I'm at every Bible study, all of these things. I get to the league and I was fighting myself. And it wasn't that it didn't take.
Must
It was
not.
that I wanted to be an adult. I wanted to understand what life was, and I wanted to choose Christ over the flesh. When I knew what the flesh truly was, like that's all it was, Channing. Like you don't have to act like that.
I was just asking. I didn't know you have a dud. Like I know some.
This is when they fight.
Some fireworks you light and they shoot up. There's some fireworks
So
you
let
light
me
and
just
they're
ask you,
duds.
what bothered you with him asking that?
Oh no,
I'm gonna therapize you.
No.
Janice,
Look, don't direct. He's directing anger towards me, Jana.
Now you're
He picks on
deflecting.
He's gonna deflect, Jana.
Let me tell you why.
Let's deal with
Let me
this.
tell you why. He picks on me constantly, right? So I don't have.
Do you pick on Freaky?
No, thank you. On Freaky.
You can't pick on Freaky because then he gives you vibrating stuff, and I'm like, thanks, Freaky. Nah, I can't say no.
Yeah.
Maybe he looks up to you.
He does not look up to me, Jana.
He might. I think that's.
No,
what
he makes fun of me
No, but
constantly.
people that make fun of you, what do you tell your kids? People that make fun of you want to be like you, and they
No,
want to be your friend.
don't you tell your kids all the time. People that make fun of you like you, and when you little, he don't.
No.
He told me on the show, right? Because I'm missing some organs. That all I had.
What do you
was
have? I don't have a gallbladder or appendix.
My God! My dog!
That is crazy.
Say something now.
Team sickness. Woo! yeah, it's over for y'all.
You know what? We're gonna move on to better things. Voices, right? We listened to it on the way, and it
Thank
kind
you.
of,
Oh,
it's
you're
one of those songs that I can be honest. You know, there's women that's gonna listen to it and be like, man, like she went through it, and she came out on the other end. But when we were driving over here, one of us, not gonna say who, thought to themselves, I think I can out-sing her.
Oh, absolutely.
You wanna
Yes.
go?
I'm not a great singer.
Hold on.
Do you want to go though?
No, because you'll beat me. I always say I'm not a
Give
great
us something.
singer.
Give us something,
Alright.
Shannon. Give us
Oh,
something.
seems like she backing up. You know what I'm saying?
No,
I don't fight nobody during the
I
fight.
will parent off you because I know, like, I'll say I'm a good singer, I'm a good actress, I'm a great mom. Like, but like
love
you
it.
can take the singing because that's like
Can you give us a little bit still though?
I've got gadgets and gizmos aplenty. I've got who's it's and what's it's galore. You want thingamabobs? I've got 20. 20! You know what? But who cares? No big deal. I want more.
And now she got another play.
I wanna see him dancing, walking around on those
You started this.
I love it though.
Yeah.
So we talked about voices. You have a new song coming out. So not only do you sing, act, you also have a wine. Parent is number one, right? You're doing some more things. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I have a song coming out called The Story, and it was actually a song that I wrote for the kids about kind of explaining the divorce to them. So it's like it was incredibly hard to sing, but it's basically like a lullaby in a song. But it's you know, at the very end, it's all ties up in a bow. So I've got that coming out. It's called The Story, and then I have a wine, One Brick Wines, which I'll send you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
You want white, so I got some white for you.
Is it in a box or a bottle?
Channing only
No, it's
drinks
in a
box
bottle.
I'm a box wine guy.
Okay, we're gonna fix that. Okay.
You know
We're
what?
gonna fix
Send me
that.
like 3 cases so I can really taste it.
I got you. Yeah. And then,
That's just greedy, man.
yeah. No, I got you. And then, you know, I have a podcast called Wind Down that I do once
Do you
a
drink
week.
the wine on the wine?
I
down?
don't because we do it like pretty early in the morning when the kids are at school. So
Go and get right though.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You
Don't
be-
worry, I wind down every night.
Yeah, you be
so.
in the car people like really chilling. People honking the horn at you and everything.
When we coming on the wine down?
I would love to have you guys on. That'd be so fun.
Bro,
I would love
Your
to have
wine down would never be the same.
I would love it.
We would change the wine down forever.
When
bro.
this airs, we can have you guys on, and then we can talk about it, and then
That would be
that'd fun.
beautiful.
Yeah, that'd be
That's
great.
great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yay, the foursome, the Fab Four.
You now know that he's freaky. You and Channing have songs. You
And we're
and I are
missing.
missing organs. Like you're now kind of officially like the fourth part of the crew, right? It's like the pivot featuring Jana.
Thank you.
So
I'd love to be a part of your show.
We're gonna allow you to tell us what you want to leave the pivot with. What was your biggest pivot? Why did you make it? And how did you come out from it?
I will have to say my biggest pivot was obviously filing for divorce. I made the decision because I knew that it was killing me. The stress, the anxiety, how I was as a mom, like I wasn't happy. I wasn't light, I wasn't fun. I had just stress and anxiety and worry, and I became a version of myself that I did not like to look in the mirror at all. Like I did not like who I saw back.
How are we now?
I can say that by making that pivot, I know now how strong I am, how brave I am, how much better of a mom, and like I'm who I'm supposed to have always been. And no matter where I end up, I know that I'm not alone.
That's what it's about.
Where you started is certainly not where you're finishing. And we are so grateful that you came and tell your story.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. And I now love football players.
We're back in there.
I'm never going to date another football player because that ended bad too in my dating career. But
I want to throw this out there though, because these stories you were telling me about these guys in your past, they kind of upset me. So I'll whoop somebody's ass if you need me.
thank you, baby.
Yes, I got you.
Well, hey, listen, if my boyfriend doesn't work out, he is a Navy SEAL, so you're gonna have to like get ready to like whoop it. You're gonna have to get a few guys on him.
They're dangerous. You don't work out.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you.
You're strong as hell.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Yeah.
There you
There
go.
he goes that.
There we go.
There you go.
It was
It's the truth.
Hold up, limitless. Take a stomach, got pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, got me up. On the mission, got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. Only vision I can trust. Trust, limitless. Take a stomach, got pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, got me up.